Speaking of NA, though, this last weekend was incredible. I didn't catch any of the quarterfinals. Well, no, that's not true. I watched SSG and Complexity, and that was stressful.
Yeah, it was definitely a big surprise to me. Hello, and welcome to the Boost Over Ball podcast. Hey everyone, and welcome back. I'm one of your hosts, Kyle, and here with me I have
Ace or Code Red Jack, depending on where you find me.
There we go. That was easy, and maybe we'll get better at it sometime, or maybe we'll actually write a script out. That'd be kind of handy, I bet.
I bet it would. Yeah. Well, all we have to do is get once, right? And then just copy paste it to every episode.
Exactly. Just make a soundbite out of it.
Yeah. I mean, let's do the Lazy Man's podcast. We just want to talk Rocket League. I don't need to introduce myself. Nobody cares who I am. They want to hear about my expert commentary of this thing that I know little about.
Well, people gotta know us so we can get our VIP passes.
Oh, that's good. Yeah, you're right. Good looking out. I forgot about that piece. Yeah, everybody, I'm Ace. Ace, also known as Code Red Jack. That's a capital C, in case you're wondering.
The NA Fall Cup happened last weekend, as well as a few other regions, but we'll talk about that later. We'll focus on NA right now because NA is best region.
Yes, NA region, best region.
Disregard the last World Championships; those don't count.
Listen, not most consistent region.
Fair.
We'll not call it the most consistent region, but yeah.
Jumping right into it, you get FaZe Clan topping the Swiss stage, 3-0, dropping only one game. They continued the run of form that they had from the Fall Open, and they looked really, really good coming out of the Swiss stage.
Yeah, and then right behind them we had Furia. They had a pretty good Swiss. They did go 3-0. They took out NRG, SSG, and G2. And they were looking really good going into playoffs.
Yeah, and that kind of brings us into some of our biggest surprises is, in my opinion, Complexity finishing fourth. I think that they looked really good. I think that their roster is really starting to find their footing after bringing over CRR from Spain, and themselves coming up to North America from South America last season. So I think they're really starting to look pretty lethal.
And then my team, the team I love, SSG, Tyam in the Swiss coming in fourth also. I don't know how that works. Is it because they have the same goal differential?
It's the first tiebreaker is like the matches played, so they both got through in round 4, so they'll tie there. Goal differential is the second tiebreaker, and then the third one would be the game differential.
Okay.
Or that's game differential, I'm sorry, instead of
that's
goal differential.
Okay. Well, we had 2 fourth places. Space Station Gaming, they looked really good this time around. We'll talk about more of that in the when we get to playoffs, but
did. Yeah. And then rounding out would be Optic version 1 and Gen G Mobile 1 finishing in 8th, kind of squeaking through and eliminating G2 in round 5, which is one of the bigger surprises of the event, is G2 not making the playoff round.
Well, and pay close attention to our last 2 qualifiers for playoffs, version 1 and Gen G, 7th and 8th in the Swiss. Because when we talk about playoffs, you'll be surprised.
Yeah.
I didn't even realize they were 7th, 8th in the Swiss.
Yeah, so they both had rough starts to their tournament, but were able to turn it around. As that being said, we can jump right into playoffs here.
Oh yeah, quarterfinals were a set of games to not miss. That is for sure. Every one of our quarterfinal games saw Champions Field. They all went to 7 games, winning in the last one. I personally saw this SSG and Complexity series, and I was yelling and screaming at my TV. Did you catch any of them?
I did. Yeah, the NRG Optic series was very, very back and forth. I really enjoyed watching that. I was kind of surprised, as I said earlier, to see NRG to see him make it, let alone move on to the semifinals. But they're able to take a Game 7 overtime, 1-0 over Optic. So it was, you know, not as probably not as dominant as any of the teams would have liked, but really good for viewing.
I can't. I mean, and then you have last. We had the winner of the fall open phase. They got taken out by Genji, so it was kind of a rematch from the open with Genji coming out on top this time. And in the final matchup, we had Furia and Version One, with Version One just taking them out in the last game.
Yeah, I mean, Genji has continued to look good once they get into single elimination format. They kind of continued their run in the semifinals as they beat Space Station 4-1, and again, this is a little bit of deja vu for Space Station as they fall for the second straight event, 4-1 in the semifinals. Is that, do you think that they've kind of peaked a little bit, or do you think that they've kind of gotten unlucky, or still finding their footing?
For me, I don't know. I haven't been an SSG fan for long, but what I can the impression I get from them already is that they are hit or miss, and they're a lot of fun, and they're a really good team, and they're very strong. But if they're very momentum based from my perspective, or from what I've seen, is as soon as they start losing, they just get whatever direction they start. That's pretty much where they end up going.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, I think that Genji does a very good job of suffocating their opponents. Their offense is usually pretty strong. They don't necessarily always put up the most amount of goals, but just the pressure that they put on and stealing resources from other teams is really what kind of sets them apart.
Absolutely. And then on the other half of the semifinals, this is the game. This is the series I want to talk about. I'm waiting for this. I loved watching this series. Version 1 NRG, and the highlight of that entire series was game 2, where Calm on Version 1 set a brand new record for demos in a game. Previous record was 18, and I don't know who had that, but it doesn't matter because they've been usurped. And Calm did 20 demos in one game against NRG. They had 25 demos. Version 1 had 25 demos across their team that same game, and 20 of those were Calm. And I mean, I was watching and I was getting mad on NRG's behalf. So I cannot imagine what they were going through. It was incredible. It was like a fireworks show.
Yeah, I mean, that's 4 exterminator medals.
Jeez.
That's unreal. Like, they can't defend against you if you just delete them.
Yeah, I mean, I was just like, they played so good. Version 1 was looking so good in this series, in this whole event. They ended up taking NRG just the same way that NRG went the same way as Space Station, right? 4-1 loss. They went from looking really good to looking like they were just completely outclassed. Granted, oh man, that was the craziest Rocket League I've seen to date in all of the pro stuff I've watched. Was all of those demos coming in. Did you actually see that game?
Yes, I did.
Oh my god.
So like on a demo, when you get demoed in Rocket League, from the moment that you get demoed to the time that you get to play again is 3 seconds. With 20 demos times 3 seconds, that's a full minute of people being dead. That's a fifth of the game. That's unreal.
Oh man, and then did you catch the interview with Calm afterwards?
That I did
I
not
mean,
see. No.
so I'm just starting to, I haven't seen many of these interviews, and so I don't know the personality of all these players, but I have to say that, like, our friend Binky, Version 1 is his team. He loves them, and now I understand why. Because he plays just like that. And uh, if I could use one word to describe my idea of calm, I think it would just be troll. He gets into that interview, and yeah, I don't know if all the pros are like this or if it's just generally like how they talk to each other. Like, in boxing, they always like talk, crap to each other, whatever, before the matches and act all tough. I don't know if that's how pros in Rocket League are, but he's sitting there and he's in this interview and he's just like, well, we weren't even playing that good. We just know how to beat NRG. And I was like, that's rude.
Yeah, I mean they are. Version 1 put out a couple of TikToks. There was one, it was like a counter, like days since they've last lost to NRG. It was up to 279 days.
Well, that's their fifth straight win against NRG. If
Yes, yes,
I
you're
remember
correct.
correct. That's just that is really hard.
It,
NRG, anytime they come up against version 1, have to deal with that now.
yeah, and I mean, Com certainly likes to play up the villain role. He does a good job of that. He kind of thrives off of that, and I think to some extent, like no matter who you are, like as a professional in any sport, you kind of have to think you're the shit. Like you just do,
Oh,
like in order to
absolutely.
succeed. So I mean, it's cool to see some of the personalities come out, and I'm like some of the I think that's more like playful kind of smack talk as opposed to anything else. I
Oh
think that
yeah.
they're playing it up for the fans and for the drama, but I think it's all in good fun, and I think it adds a different element to the scene that I personally like to see.
Oh, I fully agree. Like that I love a good villain. Oh man, and just watching that was just but honestly, grand finals, uh I am surprised.
That was an awesome series to watch.
It really was. And when the series started, I was in a watch party with I forget who, just a couple people, and my impression from the very start is like, well, version 1 had a good run. They don't stand a chance against Gen G. Like, I literally was so confident in that I felt like I probably didn't even need to watch it. And that goes to show that my expert opinion is wrong. Just never listen to me. I don't know what I'm talking about. But that series was so much fun to watch, and I'm actually really surprised because I still am lit surprised. I really thought Gen G was going to take that.
Yeah, I mean after the first game, it certainly looked like they were going to with a 5-0 win, but V1 to their credit were able to bounce back and rattle off three straight. But games 4, 5, 6, and 7 were all OT games. So I mean, other than that first game, everything is just about a 1-goal game, including a 5 minute overtime in game 6. So I mean,
Hmm.
very very close series. A lot of incredible saves, goal line stands, and goals and everything in between.
Yeah, I mean, this was a absolutely incredible weekend of Rocket League, of pro play. Um, I would say other than the semifinals, and I didn't watch the Swiss, unfortunately, I didn't get a chance to catch it. But of the all of the games that I saw were all the series at least were really close and kind of exciting. I mean, kind of they were very exciting, especially that grand final, because yeah, I still am a little bit disbelief that version 1 beat Gen G just because I think Gen G is looking so good, but I mean, version 1, right before that, when I went into that grand final going, well, Gen G's got this, it doesn't matter. And then game 1 goes by and we're like, yeah, okay, yeah, Gen G has this, doesn't matter. Because up until that point, version 1 was just a gimmick team in my mind. Like, okay, they can demo, but what happens if they come up against a team that doesn't have that history with them? And I thought I knew after that first game. But yeah, Gen G is probably the most surprising team this season, just because, as we talked about in the past, brand new, moved from EU, and now they've taken second place 2 times in a row.
Yeah, I mean they have been consistent in a region that has really been anything but, with teams like NRG not making the playoffs in the Open and then making it in the Cup, and G2 making it and then falling out. I mean, there's just been all kinds of up and down for teams, but Gen G has been a constant, and that's, it's paid off for them. Is they are currently the only team that has punched their ticket to the Rotterdam Major, the fall major. We talked last time about NRG removing Sizz as their coach. We did not know at the time who it was, but we found out a couple days later that it was Epic Johnny that would be replacing Sizz, and they looked good. Do you think that means NRG is back? Are they going to be contenders again, or is this do you think this is more of a fluke?
I think NRG has a chance of coming back, but they really need to get rid of that version 1 curse, because if no matter how good they are, if they can beat everybody but they run into version 1, they crumble, that's not going to be good, because I think version 1's going to be in the top. It's going to be in the top 4 seed throughout the rest of the season if they play anything like they did this event. So
that's fair. I mean, they've certainly looked good. They certainly have the players and the talent to compete, but they got to show it in the Fall Invitational, which is the last event before the Fall Major.
I am so excited for that, but we have to wait. 2 weeks?
Yeah, 2 weeks. On a similar note, the SAM teams, or the former SAM teams, Furia and Complexity, they've really turned it up. They've really started looking good. Complexity did a great job in, taking SSG to Game 7 in the first round of the playoffs. I thought Furia looked good despite falling in 7. But, I mean, I think that they're really starting to find their footing and come into their own.
Furia has made it to the playoffs both events now. Just being new to the field, being new to the area, and still being consistent enough to make playoffs in both events, I think that they're really showing power of their team. I really want to see them, and I hope I do see them actually make it to grand finals in this next one, because that would be a great story arc for them.
It certainly would. But now that we've wrapped up the Fall Cup, we can go ahead and look at the overall standings for North America, as the top 5 standing teams punch their ticket to the Fall Major, and only the top 5 spots for NA, which are currently Gen G. They've already secured their spot. FaZe Clan, Version 1, Space Station, and then G2 and NRG are tied for 5th in terms of points. So it's really going to be a fight between NRG, G2, Furia, and Optic Gaming, in my opinion, as they are all within a point of each other. And so I think it's going to be very interesting to kind of see who rounds out that top 5 for NA.
And as you said before, Gen G, they are through. Like they pretty much have guaranteed they're going to make it all the way through. Do you know off the top of your head what point value basically eliminates you from contention? So like I'm looking at some of these down at the bottom, like Luminosity, Ghost, Soul. Are they just out at this point, even if they absolutely show up in the Invitational? Actually, they're probably not even in the Invitational, huh?
So I mean, if you're sitting at 3 points, like 26 Rising, Soul, you get 12 points for making it to the finals and 16 points for winning. So if Luminosity wins, puts them at 18 points, and that's just good enough for 5th place. But if G2 or NRG even qualify for playoffs, then they're getting 9, or they're getting 6 points, and they're through. So I don't really see a way for anybody lower than like where Dignitas is in 11th having a realistic possibility of making it into the Fall Major. But I really think the fight is between Optic, Furia, NRG, and G2 for that last spot.
You said only 5, huh?
Yeah, it's only 5 for NA, 5 for EU, 2 for Oceania, 2 for SAM, one for MENA and one for APAC.
Well, I am going to cross every finger and toe that I have that Space Station doesn't hurt me again and they don't completely mess themselves up in the Invitational. Because they have a pretty good shot, it looks like.
I
But
believe a playoff appearance,
yeah,
a top 8 finish secures them a spot.
all right. They just have to get to playoffs. Perfect. I know what I need to root for. Oh no, but it's SSG, you know?
Yeah, you never know. That's why they play the games for sure.
But surprising to actually see Optic and it's surprising to me to see Optic actually in contention here because I have not been impressed with them yet. Um, any of their showings.
I mean, they're very consistent. They've been able to make it to quarterfinals and make it to playoffs in both events so far, but they haven't really been able to find any success in the playoff bracket. So, I mean, certainly if they're able to go on a pretty good run and get top 4, I think it really puts them in a good position to succeed. But they're kind of, as of right now, G2 and NRG, as well as Space Station, they kind of control their own destiny. So they gotta show up and they gotta compete and finish like they have been to secure their spot.
So, what's your prediction then? If you're forced to make a prediction, who takes that fifth spot or
Um,
fourth spot if you think SSG might mess it up?
if I had to guess, I'd say Gen G's going. They've already punched their spot. I think FaZe has looked too good to miss out after winning the first event. I think version 1, after winning the second event, will look to build on their momentum. I think Space Station is safe. They've been very consistent, even though they get knocked out, in top 4, but they've secured good points. I think if I had to guess right now, I think G2 takes that fifth spot.
I ooh, I think Furia. I think Furia for no reason other than the story arc.
Okay. I mean, they've been playing well. They have a very good team. They're a talented team. We certainly saw them do some incredible things at the World Championship. So they certainly have the capability to do it.
Yeah, and G2 seems to be kind of in a downward trajectory right now. And granted, NRG is looking way better this in the cup than they did in the open. And if they continue that, then I could definitely see them taking that spot. But I don't know. I want it to be Furia. That's my expert opinion on that.
That's fair.
All right. Man, this is exciting. So, up next, we gotta talk about our buddy there, Sunless Khan, and his recent news. You wanna start this conversation off?
Yeah. So, a little bit of a backstory for people who don't know the name Incivic. Incivic was the founder of pretty much Rocket League in Saudi Arabia in the Middle East. Before Team Falcons became Team Falcons, they were Sandrock Gaming, which was founded and funded by Incivic, which is TRK, Ahmad, and Khalid. And they were recently bought out by Team Falcons, and he's been away from the scene for a little bit. And it was announced that Sunless Khan and Incivic together are founding a new organization called Rule One Esports.
Video where Sunless Khan made this announcement was very strange.
Yeah, I mean,
Did you watch that thing?
yeah. So he's kind of been posting a couple of videos like that. He called one Bob. He called one Rob, and of him playing with Rizzo and him playing with John Sandman, and he kind of leaned into some of the mystery, and kind of it all led up in a 3 video series into this announcement. So I think it was well done. He drummed up a lot of publicity for himself, and certainly he's one of my favorite, if not the favorite content creator in the scene.
Oh, he's absolutely fantastic content creator for sure. I mean, he was at Worlds. I remember seeing him up on the stage. What was he doing over there?
Yeah, he was doing videography for the teams walking in and stuff, and he presented the World Championship medals.
Ah, that's what it was. I remember. I was like, wait a second, that's Sunless Khan. Yes, okay, yeah, he presented the medals.
Yeah,
That's
and
right.
his wife is currently the manager of Rule One Esports, and also is a photographer. And there's talks about her taking the professional pictures for RL Esports at the events.
That's fantastic. How exciting is that? That's so cool. And so, when do you think we'll see a Rule One Esports RLCS team?
That is a good question. I am they in Civic and Sunless have both talked about, like in that video and in their introduction video, which you can see on rule1.gg, their website, or in their Rule One Discord. But I think that they're looking to buy a competitive roster. So I will be curious if they pick up. I definitely think they're going to pick up an NA team. With the the amount of competitiveness in NA, though, I think it makes it a little bit harder. With a bunch of tier one organizations already being in the region, I think that it will make it hard for them to pick up kind of an A-list team. So I will be very intrigued to see what they do if they're willing to branch out to other regions. I know in Civic is still Middle East, and Sunless is definitely NA. But I mean, you could see people like Moist Critical having a team in EU, Rizzo being a content creator for an EU team. There's certainly a lot more crossover than there has been recently. So I'm hopeful that they'll pick up a team this season because we're still so early into the cycle. But I will be very intrigued to see what roster they end up going with.
Me too. And can I just say, I love the brand. The colors that they've chosen, their logo, it's um I don't know. It reminds me of, I don't know if this is right, but it reminds me of like Atari, like 80s. I don't know why, but those colors are so good.
Yeah, like
I'm
the
very excited
cream,
too.
yellow, orange, and red.
Yes.
It almost
Yes.
reminds me of the. It's been a little bit, but since the Radical Summer Rocket League event.
I gotta look this up. Oh yeah, yeah. See, that's that same vibe. It's this real like 80s kind of vibe to the whole brand.
Yeah, and
Now,
I like the name. It's a there's a discussion kind of between the pro players and everybody else about what the true Rule One of Rocket League actually is. The pro players, in my personal opinion, incorrectly think it's to keep the ball up at 0 seconds, but I would say the vast majority of people consider Rule One if you're, locked head to head with somebody that you don't break away from it. You just keep going until somebody gets demoed or a goal happens.
that that is very interesting. I did not know that there was that discussion happening because yeah, rule one is when you get head to head and you just have to hold the gas.
Yeah.
Now, the things I've always wondered about it though. All right, so now we're gonna have a breakaway discussion here about rule ones. Here's some of the confusion I have. If you're in a rule one, is it breaking a rule one if your teammate comes and knocks you out of it?
I would generally say if your teammate bumps you, then that is breaking it. But if they demo or bump the other player, then that's okay.
Oh, that's even more specific. Okay.
That's my personal opinion, though. But I mean, hey, I'm just one guy.
Yeah, true. But now we have a podcast, so we can settle this debate forever.
This is true.
Because I have always heard that the 0 second keeping it up in the air is called Rule Zero.
I have heard that
because
too.
because it is 0 seconds, and that makes sense.
Yeah.
And I don't know why Rule One is Rule One. That doesn't make any sense, but that's fine. All I know is yeah. Now, is Rule One regional? Is that just an NA thing?
I don't believe so. I think that is pretty universal to all of Rocket League players.
And do they like? I didn't notice any situations where anybody was even in a Rule One in Worlds, but would do pros typically respect it?
I would say some of them do. I think it did happen once in Worlds, but it was not at the main event. It was during the qualifiers. I've definitely seen NRG hold it before. I think though they're some of the teams that are generally under the gun to perform, or teams that are trying to get upsets to work their way in, like a Rogue or a Luminosity. I think they would be less likely to hold it, as opposed to like a Version One or a FaZe Clan.
Okay, I could see that.
Yeah, like the
I
teams that it like they need every single game, like every single second to try and compete. I think are less likely to hold the Rule One because they're just under so much pressure.
yeah, but don't isn't it a curse if you don't?
Yeah, generally they say that if you break a Rule One, you get scored on, and I've found that to be true more often than not.
Yeah, same, same. I've never broken a rule one. Well, I guess I have if you consider being bumped out of it, breaking it, or intentionally bumping someone out of a rule one. I've been yelled at for that though, which is why I really was curious because I've had somebody be like, "Don't break a rule one." Like I didn't. I demoed that guy.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it's a little bit. I think it's a little bit up to every person to judge on that one. But I think it's they say like no publicity is bad publicity. I think it's definitely a really good play from Sunless and Civic here, because I mean it's going to spark more debate, right? And if they're talking about that, they're talking about the organization indirectly. So I think it's a brilliant marketing move there.
Yeah, when he announced the name, I was like, that is such a just excellent name because it pulls into from the culture. It's kind of a meme. Like it's so good.
Yeah, and I like can't help but think like with how clean their logo looks and the colors are, like all of the different sponsorships that they can get and that they will get, I bet, that would look good, on a decal that they may have, or that would be willing to be associated with that brand, because it's not. I mean, it's not anything explicit, but it incites a lot of passion from Rocket League fans. As we've been sitting here talking about it for like 10 minutes now, so
Oh,
they got to be doing something
I'm
right.
buying merch. I want merch. I want a shirt.
Oh, 100%.
I want their stuff already. It's so good. Well, so here's the thing. Here's the question I have then. Cause isn't Sunless Khan a content creator for one of these other organizations? Is that going to continue?
He was actually a content creator for Space Station Gaming.
Okay, that's what I thought. Okay.
He, however,
Oh
has
wait, he
stepped away to do content creation for himself for Rule One.
that's right. He even says that in that video, I think. I remember this now.
Yeah,
Listen,
but
I have I don't have a good memory.
it's been one of those weeks. I get it. It's definitely a Monday flavored Tuesday. And now it's time to check in from around the world of Rocket League.
This is Rocket League! Well, I'll go ahead and start. So
When I figured you'd want to take Asia Pacific because they got your second favorite team name.
that's true. That's true. Okay, fine. James Cheese.
Oh yeah.
All
But
right, fine.
um, in the from around the world, we got the Middle East and North Africa. We had Team Falcons taking the Fall Cup win over Twisted Minds, 4 games to 1, with another strong showing from KRN after they won the Fall Open. They took first place in the Swiss before losing to Twisted Minds in the semifinals. But Team Falcons looks to regain their control of that region, and looks to build off of a Fall Cup win.
And then continuing to another area of the world, we're talking Asia Pacific now. And this is the Open. I need to look at the cup. Hold on. I know there's an easy way because you gave me these notes, but I'm I'm doing it the hard way because I'm me. All right, so look at the standings here. So yeah, we have the Swiss going pretty much looks very similar to the way it did the event before, with James Cheese. One day I'll be able to say their name without giggling. James James Cheese ends up taking it very dominantly. If I remember correct, they did the same thing last time. I'm gonna double check that real quick, but I'm pretty sure James Cheese. Yeah, James Cheese was almost completely undefeated in the Open, and now in the Cup, we're looking at him again, being very dominant. What a stupid name for a team. I love it. Okay, James Cheese. Yeah, yet again, pretty much undefeated. I think they dropped what? They dropped 2 games in the Swiss and then 1 in the playoffs, and that was it. And that was just in semifinals. Otherwise, it was 4-0s all the way up and down the board. So Asia Pacific not as competitive as some of the other areas. Looks like we will most likely be seeing James Cheese throughout the season, or even on the world stage. Can't wait to see that.
Yeah, I believe that with 2 victories, they've punched their ticket to the fall major, but I will have to wait on that one because I'm not sure how qualification for APAC and MENA goes.
I don't know either.
Fair.
That's a given at this point. Okay, now we have this next weekend coming up, October 28th, 29th. We're going to be looking at the Fall Cup for EU. And you want to talk some highlights about that?
I mean, BDS, Moist, Karmine Corp, Oxygen will look to try to build off of their strong performance the last time, and I'm excited to kind of see what happens as we see a couple new teams. Team Vitality, Solary, EG are going to be looking to kind of push their way up into the top 8, and as all these teams look to try to solidify their spot in the fall major.
Oh my god! Do you see the name of one of these teams? The Turbo Clappers?
Oh yeah.
Oh my gosh. Okay. I need these people to like absolutely wreck and make it to World just because I want to see.
You want to see them clap turbo?
Yeah, I want to see Turbo Clappers repeatedly said by the broadcasters.
Yeah, that'd be good.
Oh man. All right, I'm gonna watch these. That's for sure. 28th, 29th. That is, what is it? 28th? That Friday?
Yeah, it's Friday, Saturday, and Sunday again, just like NA was.
Oh, that's real nice. That's real nice. I'll watch them. I'm gonna try to watch them this week. It's Halloween though. Probably be out dressed up like a maniac or something.
Yeah, but I'd like to thank everyone for tuning in again as we continue to improve our show and get better at, talking to a microphone for an hour. So again, thank you so much. Make sure to check us out on social media. If you have any questions, comments, or anything like that, feel free to hit us up on Twitter. The link will be in the show notes. Like I said, thank you for listening, and remember to always choose Boost over Ball.
This is the way.
Thank you for listening to the Boost Over Ball podcast.